Hi, my name is Park Lenscomb, and I'm the preacher for the Rock Hill Church of Christ in Frisco, Texas, and I'm glad you joined me for this brief devotional. Recently, a friend of mine forwarded me a report in the news about a man whose name is, and I think I'm pronouncing this correctly, Emiel Ratelband, a Netherlands media personality who wants to change his age legally from 69 to 49 because he identifies as a 49-year-old and because it'll make him better able to attract younger women on an offline dating site and more hireable for certain jobs. So, he wants his birth certificate changed to reflect how he identifies. Now, we've all been told in recent years, haven't we, that we need to allow and accept those who identify as another gender. Let them change their gender on their birth certificate, compete athletically against those of their opposite birth gender, go to the restroom or locker room of their choice, etc. It would appear more and more the truth and facts in this world really have become completely a matter of how we feel. Instead of delusions being a psychologically abnormal state, there seems to be a deliberate effort to make delusions the norm. Facts and truth are becoming so fluid as to be pretty much non-existent. The absurdity of it would be hilarious if it weren't so shockingly frightening. But as many of us might recognize, this has been going on for a long time in the religious world, if you've been paying attention. In spite of the proofs for the existence of God, for example, things like nothing comes from nothing, design, and the moral proofs of God, some still refuse to believe what they cannot see. Yet they'll accept the Big Bang theory or the eternality of the universe without any proof that can be seen. And in spite of the scientific facts like the first and second laws of thermodynamics, and the only scientific law that life only comes from life, still they disbelieve. The Bible's teaching about creation is rejected often not on the basis of any fact, but on the basis of what everyone else says it must be. Indeed, in spite of the fact that there has never been a single transition between species discovered, the missing link is still missing after over 200 years of looking for it. Many are just certain that evolution must be true, but the facts don't support the evolutionary claim. As people read that Jesus is the way, the truth, and the life, and that no man comes to the Father except through him, John 14:6, some would almost immediately respond that it simply couldn't be true, they would say. There are many ways to the same heaven, just by different names. But the completely unique fact of the resurrection of Jesus points a starkly different set of facts. As people read what the book of Acts has to say about how to become a Christian, including Acts 2:38 and Acts 22:16, there's often a very quick rejoinder that salvation is by faith alone, because it is what some minister told them one time. They'll say, well, I accept Jesus into my heart and said the sinner's prayer, and now I feel in my heart that I'm saved. But the facts of the plain text of Scripture don't support this religious claim either. Despite reading passages like Revelation 20:15, as it speaks of the condemnation of the lost in a place called hell, it's not unusual to hear, I just can't believe that a loving, compassionate God would possibly send anyone to a place like hell. I feel that the part about hell must not really be true. But the biblical facts don't support this wishful thinking. Spiritual truth after spiritual truth is often rejected by men on the basis of how they feel. So men feel their way to the right church, feel their way to worship that is in spirit and in truth, feel their way to unity, feel their way to morality, feel their way to doctrinal truth and more. They're constantly groping for but never arriving at the truth because they don't read or believe the Bible, the one absolutely true source of spiritual knowledge. God made man and woman in his image, including our emotions. But emotions are not what determine truth. No one can simply wish something to be true and have it become true. That's magical thinking. Anyone interested in getting to heaven must realize this and must operate in the spiritual world with the same rational approach as we do in the physical one. In early television, there was a police drama entitled Dragnet, in which the lead detective, Sergeant Friday, frequently encouraged his witnesses with, "Just the facts, ma'am." maybe we'd all do a lot better in this world, but especially in the spiritual world, if we just stuck to factual truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. In other words, the Bible. Again, my name is Park Linscomb, and I'm with the Rock Hill Church of Christ, and I'm glad you joined me. I pray that you will continue to follow me in this series of devotionals, and hope that you'll come visit us sometime for worship and Bible study.